has more than 20 years' experience creating high-value business and technology solutions. He coaches and mentors entrepreneurs, IT executives, consultants, and other professionals on business strategies, professional development, presentations and communication, content strategy, and proactive career and life strategies. He's also the author of Building an IT Career, and we have this in the library, so if you are interested and want to check this out, please come and see me. I will be putting it back in there. So with that, welcome Matt, and welcome Judy. Bell works with Matt back here.
All right, so I always love when I get to write my introduction. It sounds so impressive. I'm like, listen, this guy's awesome. I wish I knew him. Oh wait, you do. My kids don't get to write my introduction. That's the most important thing. Yeah, that's what's critical. So, quick story. Many years ago, I grew up in this area. I was kind of born and raised in Chatsworth, and I had a good friend named Kurt, and we've remained friends this whole time. And he's a senior partner with a big consulting house now. And I remember our first business, which was during the gas crisis in 70, I don't know if that was 75 or 70, whatever that was. And his parents had a wholesale food distributorship. And so we were able to get really expensive Shasta Cola, right? So we filled up, we attached some wagons to our bikes, and we had coolers full of Shasta Cola, and we'd go down the gas lines, we were just ripping people off, really, right? Because they're stuck in gas lines, they need something to drink, and we just had a captive audience, right? And at one point a guy said to him, you know, if you had a beer, I'd give you $5 for that beer. Now that's like 75, right? So we went back to his mom, who was pretty allowing and liberal lady, and she's one of the favorite people in my life actually, and she said, well, I think we can arrange for that, so we created the false bottom on one of the coolers, and then what we would say is, because we got asked several times, when they'd say that, we'd say, let us get back to you. We'd go around the corner and open the false bottom, come back, it happened that we got you one, right? And we just, literally making hundreds of dollars, right, selling cola and beer. So, times are different now. I wouldn't recommend it for my children at all. I think they'd be on like the no-fly list and be classified as terrorists or something. So, and all this to really say is, we responded to our community, right? We were listening to what they had to say. So, if there's one lesson I'm going to talk about today, a lot about social media, is this idea that you've got to be aware of and listen to your community. Know who they are so that you can reach them. And so we're going to talk about some of the ways that you do that. We will talk about specific tools. If your hope is, I'm going to teach you the 3 tools you need to use and to win at social, and I'm going to teach you how to get 10 zillion fans and how to click here and do this with a particular application, probably not going to happen. We'll cover some of those nuts and bolts, but I gave you a handout today, and it lists some of the social, or you should have a handout, and it lists some of the social platforms you can use, some of the ideas we'll talk about, and it lists frequency, and I made it this morning, and it's outdated by this afternoon, right? So that's why we don't cover click here, because, I just noticed that, for instance, this morning, my Twitter application on my cell phone updated. Now, I don't know what update they made. I don't think there's a big new feature. They had a new feature come out about 2 months ago that was significant, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But you've got to pay attention to the tools you use. Certainly have to be proficient in them, but I'm not going to be teaching you step by step how to use this tool. I'll introduce you and we'll talk about tools in general, and we'll talk about the more important element of social media, or what I believe the most important elements of social media are. So, and where people make mistakes, right? So we're going to do it under this kind of guise. These are the critical pieces, I think, of social media is attention, storytelling, and context, okay? How do we get people's attention? And how do we tell a compelling story? And are we telling it in context, specifically to our audience and to the platform that we're using? Now, storytelling should be kind of burned into our psyche, but for whatever reason, most people aren't using social to tell a story. They're using social as an advertising medium. And that's kind of the mistake that they're making. Because social is not an advertising medium. Or if it is, you're getting no response and you're wondering why, right? On that handout I've given you, I mentioned that Budweiser sells puppies and Clydesdales. Budweiser does not sell beer, right? We all like, I love their advertising. I have for years. They figured out storytelling before anybody was doing it. It was probably 15 years ago that they started, their Super Bowl ads were a story. It was always a narrative in 30 seconds or less. And it was a narrative that you kind of like wipe the tear away, like, yes, I had a puppy when I was a kid too, or whatever it was, right? So that's their story. And that should tell us a lot about where people are going with social media. So, this look familiar? We're going to talk about this a lot because a couple months ago, I live downtown. I live in downtown LA. One morning, I get up very early. If you send me an email in the afternoon or evening and I don't get to it, you might see a response at 3:45 in the morning. Because that's when I get up and start doing stuff. And I do that because it's quiet. I don't get phone calls. I don't get interrupted. My phone is on airplane mode right now. I took it off airplane mode and got a phone call, right? So I'm like, oh, put it back on airplane mode. But, so I was checking Twitter, and I have a list, and we'll talk a little bit about Twitter and list and how you use that to engage and whether it's the right tool for you, and a little bit of that. But I was looking at my list of LA. I have an LA list, and that LA list includes major news outlets around LA, some of the restaurants and vendors in the area, some key personnel on LAPD and other fire departments in that area. Because I can very quickly see what's going on in the city. And so I just looked that morning, it'll give me traffic, whatever, and I was looking and I saw 2 major fires. 2 apartment buildings burning down. I saw the story, arson related, and one of them was about a block and a half, 2 blocks from my daughter's school. So I was very interested, and I'm seeing all the updates on Twitter. About 6 a.m., my daughter comes out of her room, and she's kind of stumbling out. She's 16, drinks coffee. I drank coffee my whole life, so that's normal for us. So she's coming to get her coffee, and I said, "There's a big fire by your school." She says, "Yeah, I know." I said, "How do you know?" She says, "Tumblr." And I said, "Twitter." She goes, "Oh." I was like, wow, this is how we get our news. This is normal for our family. Now granted, it's what I do, and granted, she looks like this much of the time, as do I, as do most people right? A lot of us are spending our attention right here, and this should be a very important clue for you of some of the things you need to start thinking about on how to reach your audience. Almost everybody, my mother is 83, she just called me. She is actually on her phone now more and more. She actually sent me a picture she took, which was a big step for her, right? So, because I do conduct tech support for her from some time. Now, how about this? It's sad, but it's kind of true. I try not to do that. My daughter and I will go out and get something to eat, and I try and actually put my phone down. The only time we actually pick it up is we do actively, if we enjoy a place that we're at, we tweet about them. We connect with them on social, because it's what we do. We believe that's a good thing. It's being a good neighbor.
Do they give you coupons or something when you do that?
Not always, but it's not a bad idea, and we'll talk a little bit about that as a technique or some things you can do. And some of the stuff we're doing with clients, because I do have a restaurant client, we have a couple restaurant clients, and so there is an element of that we can do, and we'll talk about strategically. My goal is, by the way, for us to have a conversation where I can ask you more about what you guys are doing and help you come up with, just brainstorm ideas. It doesn't mean, it's going to be off the cuff, it's going to be just off the top of my head, things that I come up with, and I might have great ideas and I might have complete duds, but at least we'll go through a little bit of the process, right? So here's what's important. And this is true and we're going to talk about email newsletters, your blog, your website, the whole thing. 70%, actually higher, sorry, but 65 to 70% of all emails last year were opened mobile. I'm going to guess that it will be higher than 80% inside of 2 years. Opening mobile. Everybody's using mobile. Okay? And what that means is it's really critical that you understand this. This is how people are reviewing content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll stop there. If you're advertising, they just went right by you. They're not going to listen to you advertise. You better be telling a story. You better make them laugh, cry, have a visual reaction of some kind. You cannot simply say, we're running a special. Or you can't say that so frequently that they turn you off. How many people watch movies on Netflix? Why?
No commercials.
No commercials and?
You can pause it and move on and go back to it if you choose to.
I get to pick when I'm going to consume content. Okay, so this is a critical concept. If you're doing that, don't you assume your audience is doing that? I consume my content on my time when I want. Do you realize there are people who watch TV shows 10% faster than they're made? Meaning 10% faster than they actually run. They actually speed up the delivery of the... It's like they're going to jam that hour program into 40 minutes if they can. Because their time and their attention, and there's no commercials, right? And they expect it. Okay, that's our short... It's the world. Now, I'll talk to people, and usually it's more traditional businesses, insurance, and legal that are like, you know, you get that guy who's like, well, I don't think that's right, you know, we put a lot of effort into our newsletter, and, you know, so I try and point out this fact. It's not about what you do. It's about what they do. If your entire demographic actually wants a printed newsletter, then that's what you need to give them. So believe me, I'm not about having you just go mobile for the sake of going mobile, but what I'm telling you is, you know, from 14 years old to 75 and above, everybody's still going mobile, and it's getting easier and easier and easier. You know, it was funny because I was asked for a printout for today's presentation, and I did, I provided one. But I really don't do that often. I normally just say, oh, well, go here and you can get something off the website, or send me your email and I'll forward something back to you. And it's not that I'm even being so friendly to trees, but I mean, this is how we deliver stuff, and also it changes all the time.
Right.
Because like I say, you might discover some other social medium you want to use, Snapchat, which I didn't include and talk about, right? So we'll talk about some of the specifics, but all I'm saying is, be thinking mobile in everything you do. Your website should be mobile, your content should be fast, and get them there. There's long-form content, and there's a time to do it, but it's usually not how you get their attention in the immediate. You earn the right to give them long-form content. There's a time that you can capture them in your narrative. But maybe your content is snippets of video that's easy to consume, that's fun to take a look at. Images on Instagram, right? You get 15 seconds of video on Instagram, right? So, if you have not read his book or subscribed to him on YouTube, you should. He and I were separated at birth, I think. Like every time I'm like, oh my gosh, he's saying what I said. And he's very good, very dynamic. You should watch his talks. He lays it out. He, you know, kind of, you know, he'll drop an occasional F-bomb. He'll say things he shouldn't in front of any group. But he also ran Wine Library TV, which was responsible in 2006, his video program, for growing a $8 or $10 million liquor distributor to a $70 million business over 5 years. He's used social very effectively. We're all in the media business. Because I don't care what you do, you're in the media business. Now, let's talk quickly about the title, because I think it's important, because it's what we've talked about. We have this moniker of, and you'll see it later on a slide, where I say, be proactive, be positive, add value, share opportunity. This is what I tell people, that's the message for social. Be proactive, be doing something, move quickly into that space. Be positive. And what I mean by be positive is everything you do on social is part of your brand, even your private Facebook page. So don't talk a whole lot about the politician you hate. I don't care if you extol something you love, but if you are ultimately about what you want to tear down, that's how people will see you, you lose credibility. So be positive. Add value and share opportunity. And by the way, we're going to take a small diversion. If what you do is get on Facebook and you promote your, whoever you hate politically or whatever that cause you don't like, okay? Understand there's a couple things I always say to people. Hey, if you're really totally vested in pushing that message out there, create a page, a professional page on Facebook where you say, hey, this is my political punditry page. I'm going to be a political pundit on that page. And if you'd like my views, follow me. And just see how many people are really interested in following you for that message. And you'll hear the crickets and the 2 people that follow you. And you're right? And all I'm saying is, I don't care I'm not attacking any view or anything. I'm simply saying, all social is an extension of your brand. Everybody in your company is ultimately a brand ambassador. There's no such thing as privacy. Sorry, get that off your head. Now, don't post things about exes, spouses, kids, right? Hey, you have those things, have a private message with somebody. I have 2 ex-wives, so I freely, they can go talk to whoever they want. But I tell everybody, there's never a time to publicly air any conflict with any individual live on social media. Ever. If you do, you lose credibility. You're seen as, oh, look, a kind of drama person, I think I'm less credible. And if you viewed it like somebody else would. So that's important. That's important to the overall message. You are a media company. What is the message you're giving? Okay? All right.
Oh.
That's the exact... The name of this image on my computer is... Oh. Okay. So, it's not my daughter.
I'm happy to help.
Yeah, I know. That's like cue, like perfect. And so anytime that I send a text message to my daughter that makes her particularly happy, she says, oh, can we go here after school or whatever? I say, sure. She sends back this. It's just to say, I'm so happy. But more important, generate an emotional response. And it's showing that, right? So guess what? I know, you look at the image long enough and you're just like, wow, I just like that image. Okay, so I started using the same thing and people were like, why are you sending me that image? I'm like, you just made me happy. It's just expressing my heart. That's what my heart looks like right now. It looks like a 2-year-old girl that's just excited as could be. So, but the idea is somewhere in your storytelling, are you capturing people's emotions? Because that's your advertising. So his book, Gary Vaynerchuk's book, just go back to the title, if you saw it, was there. It's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. The jab is the value. It's the story. It's the engaging the emotion. The right hook is when you get to sell something. Now it's not 3 to 1, you don't sit there with this metric. The idea is, if you come out throwing haymakers, right hooks, and expecting to knock somebody out, somebody's going to duck, parry, and knock you out. They're just going to shut you down. Right? You better be jabbing extensively, giving value, giving a message that people can relate to, that they can connect with, that they can engage with. That earns you the right to ask for the money. Don't come out asking for money. That's it. Don't go for the clothes. All right, so a variety of tools. I don't care what the tool is. And that's why we'll cover specific tools, but I don't care what the tool is. This is our kind of mantra. And this really started with somebody who was having a conversation with me on a social network. And they were saying, well, you got to go after the business. You've got to be able to promote your business. You've got to promote your business. And I said, you're viewing it wrong. You promote your business by the value you add. Because guess what? Everybody can go get information for nothing today. The keepers of the kingdom, they don't hold the keys anymore. Right? I can't sit there and say, well, if you tell me, if you pay me, I'll tell you how to use Google Drive effectively. Because guess what? There's somebody else with a YouTube video on it. So we create YouTube videos about it. Now, ultimately, what ends up happening, I'm going to give you the numbers on how we engage with social and how it turns into business. And I'm going to use it from my perspective, but we can then model it for whatever organization you're part of. And I promise you, it will work in some, it's going to be tweaked. I mean, understand, I'm running a service-specific technology or digital marketing company. But I tell people all the time, give away, give away the farm, give away all your best content, give it away. Give away the best thing you can. And here's why. Let's just take a restaurant. And they have just great food. Now they could, oh, it's our secret recipes, you can't see how we make this. Come in, because that's our value. Or they could say, hey, we hear a lot of people love our chicken cacciatore, so here's our recipe for it and a video of our chef making it. Right? Now guess what? People will say, oh my gosh, I want to know how to make it, and 20 people watch it. And 3 people will make it. And 17 people will go, yeah, I want to make it. I want to make it. And they'll look at the video again. They'll go, okay, you go to the store, you get these ingredients, and then you do it. You know what I want to do? I want to go to that restaurant,
Yeah,
and
right.
I want to have that food.
Or even if you made it, you'd want to go and see if yours compares, right?
You can do that. Or not only that, the people who do make it will share with others. They'll say, hey, I got this great recipe from these. Go check out this recipe. And the numbers will always be the same. Whatever those numbers are, I'm saying 3 out of 20, let's say 5 out of, what if 10 out of 20 make it, but the other 10 become customers? And what if those 10 keep sharing what you do? I have a book. This is my second book with Pearson, so it's a career book. I went to my publisher the day the book came out and I said, can we put a free version of the book online? The whole book. Free. They're like, no, we can't do it. It took me 2 years. Constantly. Every month. Can we put out a free copy of the book? Free copy of the book. Just make it free. And I had a train of thought behind this because I'd always been giving out value and doing tutorials. That's how I pitch my service. If I give away free technical content, and there's 20 people in the room, 3 to 5 will take it and run with it and do it. Even if the other 15, if 5 of them have the skill and know how to do it, they're too busy. They might still bring me in. Otherwise, I've got 20 people out there that are advocating for what I've taught. They're like, wow, look at what this guy teaches. So either way, I win. Okay? So finally, they gave away my book for free. My sales on Amazon jumped. Significantly. My sales within the college market jumped. Significantly. Why? I'm going to explain something, just I know what I know about book people. Very similar. I like a tangible book for the kind of book I'm going to read. I don't buy any technical books, because technical, I just need a blip of information that I can use and copy some code and steal what some smart person already did. But if it's a book my book is not about technology. Okay, it says IT careers, strip off IT, it's just a career development manual for anybody. It covers personal marketing, project development, whatever. It's not about technology. But somebody who wants a book will never be satisfied with the online version. Somebody who doesn't read books will never buy my book no matter what happens. But they might read something online and share that with somebody else, and if they share it with 10 people, some of those people might be book people. Other people will just be online people. So I didn't care if it was given away for free. So I'm a musician. I have 12 songs on my website that people can download for free. Download all of them, pirate them. I actually say, permission to pirate. I have a little skull and crossbones. It says permission to pirate. If you like what you hear, copy and give it to a friend. If you don't like what you hear, give it to an enemy. Right?
That's great.
Whatever. And I always say, well, if the worst thing in the world ever happened is that 1 million people suddenly pirated your best stuff, I'll turn around and make a t-shirt and sell 300,000 of them. I don't care. I'll deal with that problem if it comes up. We usually don't have enough critical mass to hold on to our information like we're the only people who ever thought of it. Rarely is that the case. Right? So don't hold information, share it. And we'll talk about how you reach your audience, because you're a nonprofit. Maybe your information is not, when I say your information is not high value, meaning reaching your demographic with your information may not necessarily be the only strategy. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But regardless of social platform, be proactive, jump into a space. Be positive, add value, share opportunity. If you do those things, you will be certainly better off than if you didn't do those things. Right? So these are some of the pragmatics, and this is our general philosophy on social, online presence, digital. So we're going to now cross into some pragmatic things you want to think about. First of all, social doesn't operate in a vacuum. Okay? So we have an integrated approach that we take that almost to a T is always the same. That's why I say I don't care whether you are saving wildlife habitats or whether you're doing programs Y, right? So you're promoting the Y and the programs they offer. To me, it doesn't matter if somebody's selling food or somebody's manufacturing. One of our clients does gas station equipment, you know, so it's all widgets. We're all moving widgets, and we all can figure out some of the commonalities of those. So what we look at is your website's a hub of information. And that's where we're going to put our highest value information. Why? Because that's where we get to constantly build our brand. It's us. It's us.com. Also, we don't want to be like all the musicians and bands that were on MySpace prior to MySpace imploding in maybe 6 months, less than 6 months. MySpace went from, hey, this is where we get all our gigs, everybody's listening to us on MySpace, to suddenly, the crickets like, and nobody's there. And people who didn't have their own website weren't building their own brand, weren't building a mailing list, right? If they weren't doing those things, they suddenly were starving. So you want to have your website as your hub of your best information. You want highly engaged people on an actual mailing list. We'll talk about that, and I'll show some examples. Keeping in mind with all of this, that most people are here on this, that's where they're going to see you, so you've got to be cognizant of this. Okay? And then these are the primary things. So I make YouTube a primary, not a social site, although it can be, but I'm not anticipating that you're all becoming YouTubers, right? That's probably not what you're doing, but it's a great, video information is awesome. People, I'm not a mechanic. I don't like working on cars, I work on computers, I don't like when my hands get, but guess what? I was gonna, the alternator went out on my van a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, whatever it was, and I said, oh, I've got to go get this replaced. I was going to go drop my car off, but I didn't have a car. It was late in the day, and I'm like, man, they won't get to it until tomorrow. And my neighbor, he loved working on cars. He had his car, he had an engine apart next to me that day, and I told him, I said, hey, any chance you can help me get over to this mechanic? He goes, well, why don't you just throw the alternator in? I said, oh, come on, I can't do that. He goes, no, I've got all the tools here. And that way, it can be done in the next hour and a half, right? So I went on YouTube, and I searched alternator 2005 Kia Sedona. I found 4 videos. I watched it, and I replaced the alternator. It took me 2 hours. Would have cost me $350 or something, right? 2 hours. It was something. I don't want to do that all the time, necessarily. I don't want to change my oil, but I'll tell you what, I didn't have to wait till the next day for the car. It wasn't dropped off. Like ultimately what it saved me was, but all I'm saying is I went to YouTube. I don't do that. Expertise is out there, right? So you can use it as a great platform for putting out high-value content. Okay? So we have this approach that your website's your primary hub, blog, special pages, sign up for information there, information about embedded video, promos, coupons can be there, all that stuff. And then social is really linked back to your blog, your website for high-value content. Do some engagement on social. You could do special giveaway notices, which ultimately drive them back to the website. So in a very real sense, the place we really want people is on our website and on our newsletter. But we can't get there today, in this day and age, if we aren't engaging on social. And so that's kind of how they work together. Does that kind of make sense? By the way, if you'll have my email address at the end of this, and I think, I have much of them here. I will send you the entire slide deck, and certainly this information, as well as some other, I have some, guess what? I have videos, articles, online. I'm giving away the content, because I know that at some point, somebody here is going to go, well, this is my secret. I'm going to let you in. Somebody here will hire me or refer me to somebody who will hire me. Great. And if you guys walk away with great information, great. I answer every email. I'll answer questions. I'll point you in. You'll find, I don't have a I don't have a hard sell. The first thing I try and tell people is, here's how you can do it on your own. And I'm dead serious about that. I won't hold, well, you're going to have to pay me for that. Now, if you get me on the phone and we're going to spend 2 hours, okay, we got to talk a little bit about money. And I think I'm being fair in doing that. But really, in a very real sense, I will point you at resources before I ever try and make you pay me back. Right? I give information away freely. That's how I honestly believe it's the best strategy. Okay? Yes?
So, kind of counterintuitive to me anyway, I didn't realize that with my social media, I was trying to get them to go to the website. In my mind, I know how I feel, like, I don't want to click through, I just want to read it right here. Tell me about that. Should I put all the content right there in the news, the Facebook
On
feed?
Facebook?
Or should I try to, get them over to the website?
You're going to do both. So there's a time and place where you're not pitching your website, right? You're just responding or creating content for that medium. A great case in point is, I create YouTube videos, but over the last, so Facebook has an interesting dynamic. I don't know if you know this, but they've taken their professional pages, the algorithm, over the last 2 years, and reduced the exposure to professional pages. So your professional page gets far less exposure for a standard post than your personal page would, right? And now there's a few reasons for that, and I'm very frustrated with Facebook, but you have to be there because, well, everybody's there except for kids, right? Kids aren't there. If your demographic is kids, they're not there. But that's where old people are, right? Remember when Facebook was like young college kids and hip?
Yeah.
Now it's like, wrinkled people or something? You can't always be pitching your website. That's the jab, 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 right hook, right? It's if you're putting out good content. But one thing that's been discovered is videos that are published directly onto Facebook, as opposed to a YouTube video, they have that really key element where they start playing automatically in people's timeline, even if the sound isn't there, and they get much more in the way of views. So now I don't just publish to YouTube. Every video I create, I publish to YouTube and Facebook. Okay? So there's a time and a place. And once again, you're creating engagement with the idea that eventually you get to swing the right hook and say, hey, I provided all this value. Listen, we're doing that. We have this article. We have this other thing on our website that's also value, but it gets them to that place. But it has to be both. Yes?
I think one of the points you were making too when you mentioned MySpace and a web page is don't rely on social media alone. Have a website so that even if, like you said, you're not driving in there with every moment,
Right.
you have that so they can go there when you need them to go there.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea is you engage on social, sometimes it's just your engagement on social. For instance, so I'm on Twitter, and I was late to the game. I mean, I fought Twitter. I got an account right when it came out. I always started for every social media right away because, well, it's what I do. I'm supposed to be an expert, right? But I was kind of like half in, half out. I'd occasionally post something. I wasn't engaging. And then I started to really check some other things out, particularly watching Gary Vaynerchuk and what he was doing, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And then 2 months ago, they released the ability for you to create Twitter videos that are 30 seconds long. Now, every time somebody follows me, if they're not just a brand, if it's an actual individual, I click on there, so so-and-so liked you as a friend, right? I'll be walking somewhere, I'm walking down the street, and eventually I'll probably walk in front of a bus or something, and I say, boom, 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 start a video, and I say, hey, thanks for following me, I really appreciate it, yeah, I'll check out what you're doing. Boom. 5, 6 seconds, I send the video. I respond to them via video. I've had guys with 500,000 followers send me a message or respond after saying, wow, a personal video, thank you so much. You engaged. Nobody else is doing it. Right? So what if you're engaging that way directly with people like they're actual people? Right? What if you're doing that? Okay?
Do you mean when you say that, like you do it direct to that person, or just have a generic video to send to everybody?
No, I send direct to that person. I create a video for everyone that follows me. I look at their profile. I'll say something about it. Like, hey, I noticed you're in Calgary, Canada. All my relatives are in Ontario.
Oh, I do that on
Boom.
Facebook. I'll send them a personal thing when they friend me. I will put look at their profile and maybe say a thing or two. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and we'll talk about that with LinkedIn as well. So we'll talk about a variety of social networks where you can actually truly engage, and a lot of people don't. So we want to make sure we cover those things. All right. So these are the components in one way, shape, or form. Right, and we'll talk a little bit about MailChimp, and then we're going to, as a matter of fact, I want to maybe we could take a moment now to kind of tune, because this is really pragmatic, you know, boots on the ground kind of stuff. And I only show 3 networks here. Understand, there's a zillion. By the way, another key point that you want to think about. You can't be everywhere. So you need to be where you need to be. And the mistake, and now, once again, I sign up for every social network. I use Snapchat. It's not my thing. My demographic is not 14-year-old girls. Sorry. That would get me in trouble. All kinds of trouble, right? Okay, so, but it's interesting to know. Marketers are going to figure that out. Because that's who's there. Tumblr has a demographic, a language, a tone. As a matter of fact, if you want to take a look at a couple brands that are killing it, look at Denny's Tumblr page, their blog, Denny's. They're geniuses. Well, actually, it's a 23, 24-year-old girl who's running that campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you could help us understand the demographic for Tumblr, Twitter, Insta.
Yeah.
Sure. Part of it is paying attention and look on there, and you'll see the content, and if it's really irreverent, funny, it's a younger demographic, right? But another one to check out is Skittles on Twitter. Right? Those 2 brands they're doing it right. And certainly, Budweiser in traditional media. They tell a story. And that's why storytelling is so important. Those brands are doing something different. They're not saying, buy our stuff, buy our stuff, buy our stuff, buy our stuff. Right? Now, Denny's will say buy our stuff, but they do it in such an incredibly creative and funny way. And really, what is the demographic for Denny's? If you think of Denny's,
Older folks.
what is it?
I think older folks.
Okay, right, we'd say older folks, right? Denny's has changed their late night demographic to hipsters. Okay? And they did it through this campaign. You pay attention to what they do. They are reaching out already. They're reaching out to 15-year-olds right now. 15 to 25, that's their demographic. They have switched their demographic. You know why they knew? They said, you know what? Our customers are dying. We die with them. I mean, sorry, it's a reality, right? I mean, if your customers are all 70 to 90 years old, you're about to lose your customer base. Sorry, it's just a reality of life. We're all going to be there. It's no shame in that, right? Okay, so they said, well, let's change our story. Let's change our narrative. A case in point, I'm a huge fan of Fall Out Boy, the band, the rock band, and that's only because I listen to my daughter's music and get exposed to all that, and both my daughters love Fall Out Boy. And they just had a new album, what was it called? American Story, American Psycho or something like that. I don't know what it was. And the picture on the front has this young kid who's got this black face paint on, half of his face, right? It's face painted, right? And a few days after that, Denny's posted a picture of pancakes with the face on it, and the syrup is dripping off to the side, and it says, like, American, Story, American Bistro, or something like that, right? That thing has been shared like 1 million times on Tumblr. They get it. They reach their demographic. They didn't say, buy pancakes. Hey, we've got pancakes on special. That was never said. But all these kids love Denny's because Denny's speaks to them. Right? They know exactly. And they catch all the big memes. You watch okay, how many people on Facebook saw the video of 4 grandmothers trying marijuana for the first time? Anybody see that? Okay.
I saw it, but didn't watch it.
Yeah, okay, so, but it made the rounds. Everybody was spreading this thing around with these 4, right? And then, then Denny's posted something and they said, just a text thing, and they said, we were going to post a video of 4 grandmothers trying Denny's for the first time, but we realized all the grandmothers had already tried Denny's for the first time, or something like that, right? So, and once again, they were connecting with a social meme that was happening, and they made some kind of clever reference to it, and it connected with people. If you want to win at social, you got to be paying attention to social. What's your audience talking about? Meet them where they are, right? Because it's not about your message has to be crafted so it meets them. Otherwise they're going to do, once again, that got people to stop. You know, here's these, my kids are like, and this, I was at my house the other day and my daughter was watching, both my daughters, I'm sorry, they were watching Game of Thrones. They were on Tumblr referencing Game of Thrones, like talking about it. And on the TV, silent, was some other show. And I walked in, and I said, this is their world. This is like normal for them. Because I want to tell them, wait, why would you be watching? I said, what? Oh, and they're watching on their laptop, right? And like, I mean, and so our home is like that, where we've got, you know, there's 2 laptops going, there's smartphones going, and the TV might be going, right? And it sounds bizarre, but that's how they're taking content in. So how are you, now maybe your demographic is not quite there, but once again, they're somewhere in between where we thought they were 15, 20, 30 years ago, and that. They're somewhere between there. And you better know what that is so that you can break that chain of attention. Remember we talked about attention, right?
No wonder half the world has ADHD today.
What's that?
No wonder half the world has ADHD, all that stuff. It's probably only going to increase it.
Well, yeah, so let me, maybe that's normal. Maybe that was just, you know, evolution for social media. I don't know. So we're going to talk about some of these social platforms and the demographic real quickly. So Facebook. Facebook is, let's say they're still, you know, 25 to 70, 25 to whenever. It's a broad demographic. The kind of content they like short video content, things that make them laugh. They really don't like political rants. And if you know, so I'm going to harp on this again, but because I have a friend who's always posting political rants, and every time he does, I interject a comment in there, like I'm like, man, I sure hope the Kings make the playoffs. And people are like, that has nothing to do with what we're saying. I go, what you're saying has nothing to do with what you're saying. Because nobody's really engaged in a conversation. It's the same 6 people disagreeing with each other. It's always the same 6 people. It's just like a bad lunch party. It's a dysfunctional lunch party. And so I just want to interject my own useless piece of information, just like, which of course sounds awful of me, and I probably shouldn't do it, and, but that's my personality. Okay, so the one thing I mentioned there is dark posts, and Facebook is a great demographic. You can reach people. So dark posts are people who haven't liked your page, are the only people that we see these updates. So you can create updates for people who haven't seen your page, so you're targeting just those people, so they can come to your page, right? That's important. Now, when you create that, don't create an ad. Facebook always wants you to create an ad. They walk you through how you create an ad. Don't create an ad. Boost a post that's something valuable, that people will engage with, or funny, or interesting. Do that, you're going to get more followers. Also understand that the one challenge with Facebook, how many people have been on Facebook since the beginning? Okay, so in the old days, they called you had fans. And it was a higher engagement model, meaning I was able to interact with my fans. You can't send a message to people who like your page, which is bizarre to me, and I kind of said, I'd rather have a page personally where people can't just click like and become a fan. It means nothing to me, because it means nothing to them. How many things do you like where you've passed by? A case in point is we can track this. We can say, hey, let's put a video up there, see how many people like the video, and see how many times the video was viewed. So, just because people liked it, doesn't mean they viewed it. Like it's 10 to 1, 6 to 1 maybe, like, they're just not, so liking's too easy. And I said, gosh, if I created the professional page, I'd rather them have a page, an option where I could say, hey, okay, I have people who like my page, and I want the really like option. And the really like option requires that I like your page, and yes, I agree to receive direct messages from you. Just like a mailing list. Because short of that, it's just people, oh yeah, I like it, yeah, I'll never watch it again, yeah, boom, and they move on. And we're misleading ourselves to believe that likes matter to us. But not every like is a like. It's kind of like the trading likes, right? How many times, oh, like my page, I'll like yours. Is it like this, like grade school, like, you show me yours, I'll show you mine. Like, well, no, like that's not really engaging. We're not really connecting with anybody when we do that. And so the question I'll always ask people who say that, and now understand, it's my personality, it's what I do, but when people say, oh, like my page and I'll like your page, I go, well, what if I don't like your page? Meaning, what if I don't like what you're doing? I'm sorry, but you haven't sold me on anything. Why should I like your page? What about your page is interesting to me? What about what you're doing is interesting to me? Maybe it's not. And quite frankly, it's cool if what I'm doing is not interesting to you. If what I'm doing is not interesting to you, don't like me. You mislead me to think you like me. It's like, you know, what if I didn't like a girl and I like dropped flowers at her desk every once in a while? Like, just like, oh, that's weird, right? Like, that's kind of creepy. Why are you doing that? So anyways, and the reason I'm pointing this out is we often get misled to think we need to push likes when we should be pushing engagement. We should be pushing, would you rather have 10,000 people who like you or 100 people who interact with you?
So are you saying that the like does not, so if I like your page, doesn't that mean that your page is going to show up in my Facebook feed?
Well, it will, except for this. If you don't engage with my page in any significant way,
It'll fall.
It'll suddenly fall by the wayside.
Okay.
Right? So once again, engagement is what I want. You know, so, and there's something to be said that yes, more likes may result in more people seeing your page, and that's another thing is, remember, just because someone has seen a post doesn't mean they have engaged with the post. It just means it showed up in their timeline. Now how many things do you, okay, you know who you're competing with, right? Kittens. And none of us are as cute as kittens. Right? Except for my dog. I have a dog, and I do post dog videos. That's right. It's my cheap, easy way to get views. My dog rolls over, and he catches frisbee, and he jumps over me, and he does all these cool tricks. So man, I use it. He's like, I'm pimping this thing out. Like, yeah, he's my spokesperson. Why not? He's cuter than me. In 15 seconds, he can say way more, right? You know, get people to stop for a minute. You know, that's what I should do. I should just like do a picture like him jumping over and rolling over, and then something I interject. Buy my book. No.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Wouldn't it also help though if you had likes, even though it doesn't matter, I mean, you're not getting engagement, but then when I see somebody, oh, they got a lot of likes, it's like, okay, they may be a bit more legit if they said a lot of people have liked it. That might be psychological at least.
Well, it might. Once again, does it convert? The question I would have is, does it convert to dollars? Because in the end, let's make no qualms about it, you're all in business to make money. Nonprofit or not, you got to keep the lights on. There's no shame in that, right? So we're all just let's switch from, oh, you know, we're nonprofits, so we're much purer. No, we just want to make money, right? And we all want to make money, and that's fair because we have to. Because we can't do. You could do the best work in the world if you run in the red for a few years. Guess how much of that good work you got to do? Zilch, none, nada, right? So great, good. We're all in this to make money, and that's fine. So now we have to understand: does that convert to money? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And I'm not against likes. That's not. Just understand what I'm saying. It's not that I'm against somebody liking your page.
Yeah.
But if you can get like and engagement, you win.
I'm just thinking people when they see that.
No, I
like to
understand.
look.
I understand.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not. Once again,
Yeah.
sure, something to be said. Like, wow, a lot of people like this page. I don't spend a lot of time looking at it because I'm looking for the content.
Yeah.
The content matters to me. Now I'm focused on content, but I'll tell you what. Most of your kids and younger people using social, they definitely are interested in content. And I think most people are interested in content anyways. They want a story to be crafted, right? I don't know if you guys have this question. I threw this slide in there because I thought, you know, I get asked this a lot, and I just had a big discussion, a disagreement. And I apologize if you read my blog long enough, you're going to read that, wow, that guy's really arrogant. That's what you're going to say. You're going to say, man, I can't argue with his logic, but boy, he can really like lay it to people. And I do sometimes, I admit. Now I take it too. I mean, I usually have fun with it. I try and have fun with it. And I only really kind of get a little bit snarky if somebody's mean. And not mean to me, it's usually if they're mean to somebody else, and then I'll just kind of, you know, go off. And I'm not, it's funny, it's humorous, it's great. LinkedIn's my favorite place for that because there's more engaged groups there, and we'll talk about LinkedIn. But in any case, we had an entire conversation on LinkedIn about hashtags. And people were saying, oh, you've got to, how many people you could register a hashtag, right? Did you know you could register a hashtag? How many people know what they are? Who has no idea how the hashtags work or what they do? Okay, so hashtags are available on certain social networks. They're not available on LinkedIn. They don't do what hashtags are supposed to do. On Facebook, they're not really used the way hashtags normally are used. They really kind of got their start in Twitter, and it's just a way of aggregating conversations. Not a conversation, not you and several people, meaning a hashtag called hashtag social media will let you know who else in the internet world on Twitter, specific to that platform, is talking about social media. Now there are sites that are saying, oh, register your hashtag, and people are under the misguided notion they own the hashtag. And then they're kind of like, why does somebody else is using my hashtag? You know, well, you can't own a hashtag. And you have to be very careful about how you use hashtags because it's a content aggregator. It's not a marketing vehicle. And here's what happened. I can't remember who it was. It might have been, was it Twitter? They made a particular hashtag the feed on their homepage of their website. And other people started posting vulgar pictures on Twitter with that hashtag. Just because they knew it would show up on Twitter's homepage, they thought it was a funny, right? And Twitter learned like, whoa, no, that's not what we should be doing. It's not a marketing vehicle. It's a way to aggregate content. But just understand, anybody can use the hashtag. So we use it, I'll give you an example of how we use it. We say to to a restaurant client we say, hey, we have this deal we're doing. You post a picture of you and your friends at the restaurant, or eating, or taken for takeout, enjoying what we're doing, because user-generated content is way better than our content, right? You tag us, tag the restaurant, and use this hashtag. The hashtag is not for them. The hashtag is good for us. I can search for the hashtag because we give away a free meal to everybody, or not to everybody, we pick a winner every week out of who's used the hashtag, who posted a picture, right? So we look at the hashtag to see, oh look, and if somebody used the hashtag and they didn't post a picture, or they posted something like, you know, you guys are awful or something, you know, like I don't know, we haven't had it happen, but I mean conceivably it could. We disregard that. We're just trying to aggregate content and know who posted that. Now could somebody look at it and see something awful? Sure. But we're not claiming that's our marketing vehicle. The hashtag itself. It's a way for us to organize content. Now on Facebook, hashtags are used differently. They can still work that way. I'll give you another case in point. Last year, a science teacher was removed from my daughter's school. Okay, and he was removed for spurious reasons. And so we said we got to get this teacher. He was thrown into teacher jail, was LA Unified. You may have seen the story on the news. It got a lot of press. So I took over and said, well, I'm going to do a social media campaign to reinstate it. And we created a hashtag. Everybody used this hashtag across all these networks. And so it was a great way. You can still find all that content and follow the stories that were posted. And we know that LA Unified had started watching the hashtag too, because they'd show up to everything like that we were going to do, which was great. I wanted that. You know, my whole thing was transparency. Hey, we're going to be transparent. I'd let them know, here's what we're doing, so you can see all the stuff where we're going to be slamming you until you make a change. And they did. They acquiesced. My manager, Judy, was very involved with that. It was great. We drove out. We were doing an all-school walkout. It was announced. We're probably going to have 1,500 kids walk out of the school and march to LA Unified. And we were using that hashtag to organize it, and we had posted about that. And we came out and picked up a bunch of t-shirts we had ordered, and on the drive back, we get a call. He was reinstated. And we're like, yeah, good. So, needless to say, that's how we use the hashtag to organize information about a particular cause. It wasn't to market it, it was so that everybody could see and organize. If they were doing other things, because what we found out, just as with any cause, there might be other people who are really helping do the same thing. So what if all those people started using that, and you could see who else was doing, oh look, we should join with these people. Oh look, these people are doing something similar, we should connect with them. And so that's the other thing, is that's another thing you should be looking at, if hashtags are being used, particularly on Twitter, Instagram as well. Tumblr uses them, Facebook less effectively. Facebook, you know what they're used for? They're used as snarky asides, right? And I do the same thing, right, with it, but on Facebook it's usually used as an accent to what you've said. It's kind of like, yes, and I'm going to dig this little extra message in there. That's really not what it's for. The hashtag becomes linkable. If you click on it, you'll see everybody using that hashtag. So, like if you did the hashtag, once again, social media, you might see a lot of people that are utilizing that hashtag, and it is very effective to hijack a hashtag. Because just like somebody can hijack your hashtag, hijacking a hashtag can be great unless you do it disingenuously, dishonestly. And what I mean by that is, I post articles and information related to giving away information about social media. I posted this workshop and I did hashtag social media. We posted information about it, right, that I was doing that. It does a few things. People see, hey, I'm speaking, I'm giving a workshop. So what does that make me? I'm an expert, right? So I'm not I'm kind of, sorry, I'm using this room and this platform to market to other people on the internet. Okay. But if I sit there and I say, gosh, I just released a new song. Hey, download my song, hashtag social media. The community polices itself. And if you want to see people, Tumblr's awful. They will go to town on somebody who disingenuously imposes themselves into a conversation. It's kind of like me imposing myself on that political conversation, but what if instead I did, hey, and I see that they're talking about this, hey, here's a link to my song. Like, that's kind of cheesy, right? So you're disingenuously using that hashtag. But if you do see a hashtag that's popular and you have something that's relevant to that, somehow pertains, adds value to the conversation, use it. It will get you a lot of eyes. And people following, they'll say, oh, look, they're talking relevantly about this topic. Right? So that's how you look for them. And you can find hashtags that are trending on Twitter. You can go into the Twitter search bar and search a hashtag. You can see, and just watch Twitter for a while. You'll see people using certain hashtags. Click on it and see how frequently that hashtag is being used. You're going, that hashtag is kind of like what we're doing. And if you click on it and you see it was used that day by that person, and then 3 months ago, and then a year before that, okay, using it may or may not be important to you. You can make a hashtag relevant if you have enough of a following, but just understand, if you're going to hijack a hashtag, don't use a hashtag that's like XYLT because somebody did, and you thought, well, I'll hijack that one, and they're the only person ever posted on it. Nobody cares, right? You had a question.
Yes, tagging, for example, on social media, I know it's slightly different, right? I know, because like if I'll post a picture, I've just learned about that. Like if I post a picture on my Facebook page, I will sometimes put a tag like what I think it's related to, but is that sort of a similar thing, or am I
Well, when you say
misusing it?
tagging a picture, you're usually tagging an individual in the picture.
Okay, so if I put my own picture on there, I don't want to add tags like to the picture, like on my phone, you can add it and then upload it.
Well,
I'm not understanding.
okay, I'm sorry. So tags can be additional keywords, which are almost like hashtags for certain applications. And then in Facebook, you can tag individuals in a post, right? Now, people do that to me, and I hate it. Suddenly, I'm like, you were tagged in this post, and it's like about some weird. I'm like, why'd they tag me in this? Even though they're friends of mine, and I'll sometimes, if I'm feeling particularly snarky, I might say hashtag didn't want to be tagged in this or something, right? And then I'll untag myself, right? Because I don't want to receive notifications every time. Don't do that. And by the way, don't post on my wall either. If you tag me for something relevant, fine. But don't post on my wall. It's like somebody walking up to your garage door and writing on it. It's like, that's my wall. I get a wall. That's how I am. Okay, so that's kind of yeah.
So back to the idea that Facebook is feeding your business page less than it's feeding your personal page, if I heard that right?
Your business page has less natural exposure, and the reason that is Facebook has to make money.
Right.
They
So
want you to
we've got-
boost posts.
Well, there's a bunch of us in my organization that are on Facebook.
What do you guys do?
Well, I have two. One is the Nantucket Nurturing Center, where we serve 0 to 3 and their parents, 0 to 3-year-olds and their parents.
You serve them to who? This is...
We support young families
Okay.
and well-being.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I appreciate it. So there's a bunch of us that are on Facebook, so I'm starting to think we should maybe just post on each other's pages what's the haps, in addition to our business page.
Okay. Awesome. What she mentioned there, actually, is a built-in syndicate. So this is a concept to think about. Your strongest supporters can help promote your business page, right? Directly. And there's nothing wrong with asking for that. Why not? Right? Because if they share your post, it's now on their personal page, not your business page. Right? So if you guys post something on your professional page, and then all of you are sharing it on your personal pages, you're getting exposure to your personal pages and to the professional page, and maybe other people share it as well. That's called, so the idea is creating a syndicate. You do this, I do this with blog entries. I have key people, not a lot of them. I post something, I write a blog entry, I send them a direct email. Hey, by the way, here's a link to my latest article, would love it if you shared it. I'm not demanding, it's not a paid syndicate, but if there are people who believe in my message, why not send it to them?
You're bored? I've asked the board.
You're bored? Yeah, everybody's a brand, okay, everyone's a brand ambassador. That's why you don't post a political rant, because, and you police your people and you say, could you shut up? That's how you say it politely. Right? Because everybody's a brand ambassador. That's the world we live in. I mean, I'm sorry, everybody's a brand ambassador whether they want to be or not. They are. So we were going through these demographics. Let's talk Twitter. Twitter is a more, at this point, more business-oriented community. It really is. Now, one of the challenges with Twitter, and this is my knock on it, still my knock on it, it's marketers talking about Twitter marketing and why you need to hire them for your Twitter marketing, right? So that's maybe 50% of the content, right? Like, you know, a bunch of the content. Yeah. Now, how do you get around that? By the way, Twitter can be extremely effective. I'll give a true story. It was a lot of fun. My son was coming back from, he's in Fort Hood, and he was coming back from Fort Hood for the holidays, Christmas holidays, and he, you know, this kid will, just if something can go wrong, he'll make it go wrong. So, hi Chris, if you ever see this video. He knows it. So, somehow, from one night to the next, I think he and his friends, before they flew out, they decided to go out, like, drinking or something. He can't find his license. So he can't board the plane. Now, he
Or his
probably could've-
military ID, I think he
He
didn't have
lost
that either.
everything.
yeah.
Military
The
ID,
wallet, I think,
license,
the
the
whole
whole
wallet.
thing, right? So he can't board the plane.
Wow.
So we go to United. Hey, now, his mistake was he went there, he goes, hey, is there any way I can get on the plane? They said no. He goes, okay, I'm going to go look for it. He went to look for it, didn't tell them, missed the flight, so he was considered a no-show, lost his seat. So then we said, hey, can we get him on another flight? And he said, well, you have to buy another ticket. And now the prices of buying a ticket for the holidays at that time, 4 times as much? We're like, whoa. So I call their customer service. I get whatever the call center was somewhere in South America, whatever it was, right? So I'm like, no, can I talk to a person in the US? Like, not just a customer, like, seriously, this is a military, like, come on, you guys, right? That didn't work. So I went to Twitter. Started saying, hey, can we get a soldier home? Can United do this? # United, right? I share that with a few people. I created an image of him, a picture with his mom. I say, the soldier would like to come see his mom. Can't you get us there? United publicly responds to me, first privately responds and says, customer service already gave you an answer. I publicly post their response.
Wow.
Right?
That's what I said.
Caching, and then I just sent text messages to Judy, all my friends. I go, retweet that. Everybody get out there. So they all start retweeting it, right? We copied the USO.
We also did the @United, so not just hashtag, but at their Twitter.
United, at Southwest Airlines. We said Southwest would do this for us, right? Okay. So I was posting, and then, so my ex-wife posts, United, can't I see my son this Christmas?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
There's a commercial here.
Oh, we went like, we're just sticking it to them, right?
Awesome.
They respond to her, they don't respond to me. Because I was the one leading this whole other thing. They said, we've got his ticket taken care of. Have him come to the camera.
Wow.
Bam!
But
Okay.
It is that things go that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now I did a new image, I said thank you, and I did a thank you to them, I gave them kudos. But I use it as an object lesson, first of all. If you're a brand and you're not paying attention to what people are saying, and you're doing that kind of customer service pull, like that was awful.
It was.
That's awful. It's unconscionable the way they respond.
Exactly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to this day, I'm going, what were they thinking? And they picked the wrong person, right? And I'm like, okay, we're just gonna go social on. I'm going all social on yet. That's what I'm doing. No, but Twitter is more business related, and give the, and the tone on there is, things about that is, don't make your post really long. You can post images now. You can post videos, short, 30 seconds, right? Yeah.
Quick interject. How?
How do you post a video to Twitter?
And like,
Well, you can post it from your phone. I just create it on my phone.
it'll create a link.
It'll create a link to the
Or you
video.
could, if you had a link to it.
Or you could link to a YouTube video,
Okay,
right? You can link to other content as well.
okay.
Or you can link to it, or you could just show an image. I do that. And there's times that's all you want to do.
It to be that way.
What's that?
It's just odd that I mean, everyone's.
Everything's going visual.
Everyone's adjusting it. I mean, Instagram, obviously they did that, but Twitter's doing that, you know, it's.
Which is why-
Really odd to me that, it's because everyone wants to be Facebook.
Well,
Or in the realm of.
except they don't, because I'll tell you what, Facebook recognizes right now that they're losing.
Right, that's why Twitter did what they did. 'Cause
Right. So now they're realizing that, like, right, your fastest growing network right now is Instagram. But Instagram's not real linkable. But it's great for engagement, as long as you understand that you have to be visual.
Right.
Not visual advertisement, visual. You can quote unquote advertise, but you gotta do something clever things. Like, one of the things that we did with this restaurant again is picture of, what did we do? We did a, I don't know, it was a picture of one of the meals there. And we said, who should we give this meal to? You can't tag yourself. And then people tag their friends. Give it to them, and they tag them at their, right? And then now we're getting all the press, all the people that are sharing and tagging that, it shows up in their feed, and they're connecting with their friends. We're making them connect with their friends to get access to win that food, right? So you got to think about how you're going to use that medium to get exposure for something. So, and there were several questions that popped up. Yes.
Just a quick one. So we finally, like, I pushed my, organization. We're going to get a video on Facebook, right? And we had a mom who we had served.
Okay, wait. If that's a conversation you're having, hold on. You guys better move way faster. If it's, we finally got a video,
I know.
like it's got to be, we've got to get a video per week. Okay,
Right,
go.
right.
Let's go.
So
So
here's
tell me.
so part of the hang-up is like quality. So my question is this just a video, like I get my executive director and I get my phone out, or is this I have to get a videographer who has skill in editing and...
The first one.
So we did a really nice video with a videographer. I think it's quite nice. But I'm saying if we're going to produce several videos
It's
a
gotta
week...
be like this.
Well, it's got to be fast, first of all. You can still do good enough quality, and I don't mind a well-produced video. Don't get me wrong. But if what you're doing is waiting to produce videos, you're not reacting fast enough. Stuff happened today that they should know about.
And also
Right.
remember they're using.
Okay, how many people here, Rusty's Pizza has become Pizza Man Dan's? Did anybody know Pizza Man Dan's?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you know Rusty's Pizza beforehand? So Rusty's Pizza, before it was Pizza Man Dan's, it was Rusty's Pizza, which his name change really worked well for him. I did all their social media, did all his still coaching, consulting on that, okay? We went from 65 to 6,500 Facebook fans in about 8 months, and his mailing list went from about 1,500 to 13,000 on his mailing list, and about a 30-35% increase in business over 8 months. That's pretty good, right? That's an ROI. And he attributes that to me. Well, to the work we did. I'm sorry, not to me. That's cool. Because he played a part. But wasn't this phone, wasn't my Samsung S5, it was, I think, my Droid 2. All the videos I did, and we did a video, a few a week. It was just me with my Android. Okay, here's the script, here's what I want you to do, boom, boom, boom. It was just him walking from the car into the restaurant saying whatever the deal was. Boom, that's it. I do a quick little edit on it, that was it. Do you realize the quality you're getting from this device of your pictures and your videos? Like, 10 years ago, you couldn't buy a movie camera that created videos of this high quality.
There was a movie at Sundance shot entirely on a phone.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of that. Go do a search and look for music videos or video stories, smartphone productions, right? And you'll see 5-minute videos. Now, granted, these people know how to edit, they know how to shoot a little bit, and guess what? You're going to have to become educated on some of that. If whoever's going to run that social media, but it isn't rocket science, okay? It's like, okay, we want to take a nice picture. Make sure there's not a pole sticking out of their head, like, right, there was I took a picture, so I took a picture of a dating site. Well, I'm not on any dating website, so, but I comment on them a lot because I read the comments, which are awful, snarky, horrible things. But it's funny, and so at one point there was one, and it was like, whatever dating site it was, and there's this woman is sitting by, it's never a man picture, but maybe I'm just the wrong demographic, I don't know, but So this woman is sitting by her bed, and the cat is behind her. And so the cat's head, to me, looked like it was growing out of her head, right? And so I took a screenshot of that, and I posted, I wouldn't date her until she had that cat surgically removed. Right? And then somebody said, how do you know she's not growing out of the cat's ass? Which I thought was incredibly funny, right? Okay, so needless to say, you can learn to take better pictures. So fortunately, and I mentioned this a lot, is I have my manager. So Judy, she works in film and TV and does all that, and so she catches everything. She's like, oh, you did that video and you had behind you, there was a paper towel roll. I'm like, oh, so now every time I look at video or anything, I'm going, I can see where it's framed, I'm going, oh, she won't, no, she's gonna make a comment. So now I'm like, I monitor everything. And actually we had a whole conversation here where I said, she goes, well, where are you going to be? I'm setting up the video. And I was like, well, I'll be moving. And she goes, no. I'm framing this shot, figure out where you're going to, okay, it's all like, anyway. So, take some time. Guess what? Okay, so this is my secret tip
Oh.
on how you can master anything. Anything. Now, I'm going to give this tip to you guys here. You have to promise you will not share this with the rest of the world.
Yeah, all right.
You're going to open up your browser, and you're going to type in this. google.com. And you're going to type, how to frame a video. And guess what? I bet you get 1 million results, and it will tell you how many seconds it took to get those results. And you probably don't even have to get to the second page before you've learned more than the average person knows that's out there in this world, right? And the same with taking pictures, and the same with editing a picture, and the same with editing a video, and using iMovie, or Movie Maker, or whatever software you have, or Google Drive, or how to do social. Because all the information I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, that's what I used to say about my book. They'd say, man, I really want to buy your book. And I go, read my blog for a while. I've given all the information away. It's all in there. You take enough time reading my blog, I have nothing new to say. I got no game. It's all out there, right? All I'm saying is, you should learn how to frame things better, but your agency needs to move on video faster. And some of it should just be a video of, listen, I'm getting a cell phone tripod for they have cell phone tripods, right? $6 or something on Walmart.com or BestBuy.com, whatever. And all it is, so I can set up a little video and just be, high def, man, it's right like there, like, hey, just want to let everybody know I'm going to be doing this, and check out this, blah, 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 boom, that's it. I can maybe throw a little thing at the top, put text on the bottom that says my website name, and post it. Get it out there. Try and make it fun and engaging. And I'll give you some tips on videos. As a matter of fact, I just spoke on public presentations on video. This really works well. Watch other people on video, YouTubers, whatever. When you put yourself on video, I don't care how animated you are, here's what your first video will look like. So, I want to invite you to this really exciting event. You've got to be way bigger than you ever thought you had to be. Watch people on the, late night TV, or watch people on, and that takes practice. There's things that even I'm learning now, and I perform on stage, and I speak on stage, and I've discovered something. My daughter and I were just talking about this. We always look at the guy who jumped out and started dancing at the crowd, and then everybody followed him later. We look at that guy as like wonderful, brave, exciting. And yet we're like, oh, I'll look stupid if I do that. Right? And so that's the filter we put on ourselves when we create video. You want to make people more animated. It's really tough to do video. So be 3 times as animated as you think you need to be to engage your audience for social, right? 3 times. Because it will always be flatter. It's not real life, right? Okay, so we're going through. So Twitter, that's the demographic is mostly business related. Instagram, fastest growing demographic on Instagram is moms 30 to 50. That's your fastest growing demographic. And that's, by the way, that's a money demographic. Why? It's pictures, it's quick and easy, it's cougar selfies. I don't know, right? Okay. Pinterest. It's a lot of Pinterest. Pinterest is all over the map, a lot of hipsters, but also a lot of brands, kind of infographic focused, so education about product, education about wines, education about fashion, that's kind of where Pinterest is. Okay, I don't spend a lot of time there. LinkedIn, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, I do. Okay, now LinkedIn is a business-to-business, to me, relationship. It's not Facebook, it wants to be Facebook, and I just posted, anybody who's on LinkedIn? Who checks in at least once a week on LinkedIn? Okay, so LinkedIn just went through a design change, right? And they have this kind of gridded thing going on, and so I posted, and this, this in the news, LinkedIn attempts to become a poorly designed, under-functional Facebook, right? Yeah. With buggy notification, like you have to click on the notification 4 times to get that red thing. I'm like, I clicked on it, I read the message, why is the flag still up there, right? Okay, so it's awful, except that it is business to business. So let's talk about LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is important. It gives you long-form publishing. You can post a blog entry with video embedded. When I say a blog entry, it's an article on LinkedIn, right? They open up their publishing platform to everybody, and there's some value to that, if you're posting valuable content. Okay, but here's the other thing about LinkedIn, and this is true on all social. It's why I do the videos on Twitter when somebody follows me, thanking them. Okay, how many people, and be honest, have 100+ connections on LinkedIn that they've never sent a message to in their life?
Yeah.
How many people connect with somebody and you never send a message?
I don't even have 100.
Okay, good. So we're talking, yeah, so if you don't have, if not using it that frequently, right? Okay, here's the
You're
thing.
talking about message, like message to message or posting.
Message to message. Private message just to them. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, you will get a message from me. Now, I have a boilerplate message in Google Docs. I use Google Docs extensively. It has all the basic information about what I do. But I will look at your profile, I'll probably look at your website, I'll spend a minute or two. Like, if I want to make a connection real to me, why am I accepting your connection if it's not to have something happen? What if you're the next big, opportunity that I have, if not you, through you to somebody else? But if all we do is connect and move on, it's like a like, it means nothing. So everyone gets a personal message, and at the start of the message I say, hey, I send a personal message to everyone because I believe it puts the relationship in context and makes it more valuable. I noticed on your profile you do this and this, and I checked out your website and you do this. Tell me about some of your projects you're working on. I'd love to find out. Here's what I'm doing. If I can help you in any way or answer a question, let me know. Here's my phone number. Here's my email address. I have people who've responded and said, I've never received a message from anybody else on LinkedIn. I go, good. My competition is in the dust. Right? Now I've created conversation with them. There was a guy, I just called him out. He connected with me, and I sent him a message. Hey, what are you doing, this and that? His message to me, I could find it because I kept it, because I did a screenshot, and I'm still toying with the idea of whether I'm going to do an article where I actually feature a link to his profile and say, look at what he sent me. This is how you don't do LinkedIn, right? Because I sent him a message, and I said, did you even read my message? Is this a real person or just a bot? Because you didn't answer a single question. You didn't tell me about what you do. What he did is he responded back. He goes, we can get you a home loan for da-da-da-da-da, and he sends me a link. I said, that was clumsy. No, I mean, I was not nice, right? I said it was clumsy and ineffective. I almost blocked you, but I'm going to give you another chance. His next message was no better, and then I laid him out, right? And I wasn't friendly. And I noticed the other day that he viewed my profile. He still hasn't responded back to that, but I'm like, is it just a brand, not really a person? I don't know. But literally I go, okay, I want to give this message and post like, okay, I tell her 2 stories because I connected with somebody else who saw me post on a group in LinkedIn, and she connected, and I wrote her a message, and she wrote back and said, thank you so much for the advice you're giving on that other group. I found this helpful. What about this, this, and this? And I responded, well, here's some things to consider doing this. She was asking about marketing of her husband's book, right? And so I gave her some real information. I said, here's my number. If you want to set up a call, we can have a conversation on the phone, right? I'm making a real connection. But I'll tell you this, I posted an article, and she wrote me a note. She goes, oh, I've shared your article with everybody. I've shared your article with my group. She had posted on her page, right? I built some goodwill there. She connected for real. I don't think she's a potential customer. I think they don't have the funds to kind of engage what we do. But she's posted my articles with other people because I made a true engagement. If you're not going to connect, if you're not going to do that on social, don't be in that game. There's no point in being there. Pick 1 or 2 networks you can be on where you take the time to engage. Right? And engage ahead of time, proactively. If you're reading something on Twitter and you see something interesting that semi-relates or you have some good advice for them, chime in and say, hey, have you considered this, this, and this? I saw what you posted. I really love what you're doing. Like, would that freak you out if you got that message? You'd probably appreciate it, right? If you do that, there's a very good chance you rise to the top of their totem pole of people they want to pay attention to. It takes work to engage on social. It's not free, right? The platforms, most of them are free. I mean, there's some boosting of posts, things you could do, and that's all fine. Nothing against that. But if you're not truly engaging, you're missing opportunity, right? Okay, so that's Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Your blog and company site, high-value educational long-form content, the demographics, who your demographic is, right? Now, something to think about with the content you create. Don't always think the content has to be educating them on you. A couple of mistakes that are made is, you're not writing for you, you're writing for your audience, right? And people wonder about where can we create content? How can we get this content? And where does it come from? And the first place I tell people is check your sent box on your email. You answered somebody's question at some point and you wrote an email back. Here's how you want to do this. You gave them some advice. That advice is a blog entry. Take out the personal pieces of it. You probably answered somebody's question in some valuable way. Your company, if you have multiple people in the organization, they're probably creating content every day that you don't know exists. We seldom go back and understand the knowledge we have in our head. And it doesn't have to be information about what you do, right? So imagine, I'm sorry, what's your name again, David? Matt, that's right, I should remember that, you're David. So you guys you're doing, animal conservancy, wildlife conservancy, okay. You could write a blog post on the challenges of organizing community in another country. That blog post has value to other nonprofits and people and tells a little bit of a narrative of the story too, right? It doesn't have to be just that, right? We're working with an insurance company, or we hope to. One of the ideas we're pitching to them, okay, is this idea, the business owners of this company have built a beautiful company with a great culture. And I said, and they love doing presentations. They love sharing their knowledge. It's not sharing knowledge on, here's the best insurance. It's, hey, here's how we manage our company. Here's how we treat our employees. Here's how we do it. I go, you should be offering advice on business. You guys should have a podcast on business from 2 successful entrepreneurs that have built this company, right? Not on insurance. Guess what? If businesses are paying attention to your podcast every day, which is on your insurance website, there's a pretty good chance you're getting exposure. Hey everybody, look over here. And then occasionally you can pitch the idea of what you do, because if you do enough jabs, if you're having value, right? So don't only think about the content about you, it's the content broadly that you have other knowledge that you can share that's of value. So look to your outbox, your sent items. Your sent items is a great place to find content. If you went back over the last year and looked at everybody look at your sent items for longer emails you've sent to people answering questions. You probably have the next 2 years of content created. Right? And I'm not, I don't do it as well as I should. Now what I do is, tools that you might want to employ, everybody have a Gmail account?
Yeah.
Anybody use Google Drive? Who uses Google Drive? Who doesn't use Google Drive? Okay, so Google Drive is a shared collaborative workspace where you can create documents and spreadsheets that are shareable in real time. What I mean by that is, I can create a document, like a Word document. I can share it with 2, 3, 4 people on my team. We can simultaneously be editing it. I can see them typing in my document in real time. Now, I use it also just as an aggregator of content. I store images up there. We can actually send photos. We have clients. We share spaces for our clients on their particular Google Drive that we set up. And they can take pictures at their facility or videos and uploads from their phone. They don't have to email it to me, nothing, all to a central location that we can then take that content and curate it and do what we need to do with it, right? But all I'm saying is I keep a Google document open all the time. It's just called ideas, right? And I can plug in ideas in there. And then if I write a snarky response that makes me laugh on LinkedIn to somebody who was doing something foolish or mean, then I say, gosh, that would really make a funny blog entry. I'm going to take that content, I copy it off of LinkedIn, and I throw it into my Google Drive. Now I have a record of it. And I have all these documents I start creating, then I go fish through them, and I say, oh, I'll just take these, edit it up, change the names to protect the not-so-innocent, and publish it. Now it's an article. So it's as I go. I'm used to looking at, oh, I just generated content. Oh my gosh, I'm doing this thing in this software. This is kind of cool. Screenshot, alt print screen, paste it into a document. Now I have an image. Just as you go, you have to start thinking of the content you're creating all the time. All right, so that's your blog and company site. Newsletter. It's got to be mobile, it's got to be high value. You do not pitch in your newsletter. You do at the end of your newsletter, you pitch value first. Pitch the sell later. Earn the right to sell me something. Like the guy who responded on LinkedIn, it just made me angry. I gave value, and he just tried to sell me something that I didn't even need. He didn't ask me. He's like, he knew nothing about me. Right? It would be like what, well, we'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll get to that. Okay. This is my newsletter I just sent out. I want you to see something about it. This is in MailChimp. And so I'm doing two clever things here. I'm letting everybody know that I'm a musician, right? That's really not what I'm doing. But, so I created a really simple newsletter. It always follows this very similar pattern. Image, text about the same topic. Image, text about the same topic. Okay?
Repeat.
Image.
Yeah, but you're repeating over again.
I'm repeating, and the reason, but I'm repeating for a reason. So if you open a newsletter in your email probably doesn't show the images right away. You have to display the images. There are people who don't want to display the images. As handsome as I am, they don't know what they're missing. But I want to make sure they get the same message. What if they never expose the images? So great. Now I do an alt tag on the image. That's something you can do in the software to basically the image can say image of tips, tools, and breaking the rules video stream. Then they might be inclined to look at it or not. Doesn't matter. But then I have the same thing promoted right below it. That's why, because the text will show up whether they do it or not. However, I do know this. People love images. They love clicking on images in newsletters. Video, even better. Oh, look. If I took on that and put a video, like, you know, the little play arrow button, which I do sometimes, they would click on it if it was taking them to a video. Right? So that's my, now the important thing though that I want to show you here is, this is what shows up in their email. This is their phone. It scales perfectly. Now I have a free blog entry that explains exactly how you do that in MailChimp. It's on my website. Go there. Okay, but all I'm saying is, if you're not thinking mobile, you're missing the boat. If they have to open an email, by the way, we had extensive conversations. I still would like to engage those conversations with VCCF on their newsletter, and we were helping lay out some things for their newsletter here. And in the end, we arrived at this idea because they came back and they said, well, we want to make sure all newsletters have this and these elements and are mobile ready. And I said, you get one or the other. There are things you simply can't do with mobile-ready newsletters. If you want all these fancy accoutrements around the side and graphics, the truth is people are going to be scrolling back and forth. And if I know that 70% of my audience is opening it here, and if I make it small and they're like, oh, like whatever, delete. You have no time. Everything needs to be mobile. I don't even think of anything, any website, nothing. If it's not mobile, it doesn't exist. Right? So I give some specific ways to do that. I use MailChimp. You could use Constant Contact and get ripped off if you want. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a partner of Constant Contact and I can't recommend them because their technology's flawed. And I've told them, until you fix this, sorry.
What about GetResponse?
Don't know it. I've used Aweber, my newsletter builder, they got bought. But so I like MailChimp. You get 2,000 subscribers free and I can integrate it they have an application programming interface that's really nice that we can use if you're really geeky and technical. You don't have to be. I hardly use it, but we've had a couple clients do that. Okay?
Excuse me, I'm using Constant Contact, so
Yeah.
you're recommending MailChimp over them
I am.
because of
Yes.
cost
Constant
and the
contact
different.
is buggy.
Well, it's not just, yeah, I mean, there's some
It's not
problems with the
responsive
technology.
and
I didn't like the way that they, and I think they may have changed this after I've harped on them for like 5 years, like literally 5 years. I'm like, you guys don't allow me to have separate lists within the same account rather than segments within my list. I don't care about segments within my list. There's things I want to do with multiple lists at different times within the same account. I don't want to get into the technical details. They said, well, you can program this, this, and this. I said, but I don't have to program it in MailChimp. Why would I spend the time to program in your interface when I can do it for free in this interface? You guys answer me that question and I'll consider
MailChimp
it.
is less buggy.
Yeah, I just like the
Change
interface.
one little bit of code in Constant Contact and it's all ruined. You can't fix it.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
MailChimp, you don't have to do that, because we had a challenge with, like, I was talking about making your newsletter or email responsive. That's
Responsive
the
is the term, yes.
Okay.
where it scales down, and we constantly have to go in and adjust everything that was done in Constant Contact. Every single time we did something, we had to do it that way, and you can't do it in the browser, you have to do it in Dreamweaver or something else like that to make it consistent, so like, it took 3 times as long to send something out that could have been done in a half an hour, and that's why we used it.
Yeah, so I do recommend MailChimp, but honestly, the most important thing is if you guys test it and you can work with it, that you're putting out content that's high value. Because I really don't want to focus on the tool. I mean, that's the tool I use, but I tell people all the time, the tool is irrelevant to the message. The message in context is always what's valuable, right? I'm not, you know, it's like somebody said, who said, David, was it you? You said you use a paper calendar still?
Yes,
So
I sent it to you in private, but now everybody knows.
I
Well,
still did too, though.
hey, you know what, here's the thing. I do time management workshops, right? So I do a time management workshop on using, and I show Google Calendar and how I use that, and it sends me notifications and yada, yada, yada. Great. But the first thing I say is, there's no such thing as the system, but a system is critical. What I mean by that is, I may love that system, but it's not the system. The system, because every system fails, every social media campaign fails, not because of the software, because the individual, because the organization. Because the organization takes, I'm sorry, what's your name over here? I don't mean to pick on you or anything.
Renee.
Renee. Because Renee's organization needs a fully produced video that everybody goes through and spends 6 months and to get, before they put out any video content. And guess what? Their competition, maybe they put out 5 videos last week from an event. Right? And that's what you're competing with. I'm not saying put out garbage. Find that balance, right? But get your content out there. Okay. So here's why it's important to have context in social media. Anybody, you guys go to networking events, right? So here's what happens. Oh, hi, here's my business card. Hi, here's my business card. So I was in Phoenix, and I was at an event, and this really shook me to my core, but I loved it. I walk up to this guy, because I don't mind if somebody, I'm sorry, to say I'm abrasive would be wrong. I'm very direct, okay? Much of the time. And I have fun with it. I always, people can't ruffle me. I don't really mind unless somebody's being mean to somebody else. They can be mean to me, I don't really care. And so, I hand my card to somebody. I go, hey, how you doing? He goes, whoa, get to know me before you kiss me. I totally get what he's saying. Why am I handing him a card? We may have nothing in common. We might hate each other.
You throw it away.
And also, what's going to happen? You have all those cards, you're like, what do I do with these? I don't even know. Who was this? Oh my God. Right? Okay. That's how we connect online, too. And we do it in public, and it's really bad form. And I always tell people, rather than like get 20 cards from a networking event, make one good acquaintance that you think you can help, not who can help you. You know, I'm working with the Chatsworth Chamber, and one thing I told them is, I said, hey, you know what your networking events, you know what it should be? It shouldn't be, hey, you have 1 minute to announce what you do. It should be, you have 1 minute to share a piece of valuable knowledge that will help them with their business. What if you did that? What if you walked in and said, I'm going to go to this networking event, I'm going to share how I use this tool and how it was so helpful for us. Man, if you checked out this, you got to check it out. It's so awesome. If you need help, man, send me an email. I'll tell you how we're using it. It's awesome. What if you did that? People walk away and go, whoa, I don't know what to do. This person like helped me. They weren't just like reaching into my back pocket to grab my wallet. Right? So I wrote a blog post called Don't Stick Your Tongue in My Mouth. Right? So, because I just took what he said and I made it more demonstrative. Because I thought it was so funny because he was right. Right? And so, this is what our friends look like on social media. It's like this blurb. Oh yeah, it's my friend. They're a connection on LinkedIn. I've never sent them a message. What would happen if you went back to, I have connections going back on LinkedIn years, right? You went back to those older connections and you sent a message to say, hey, I checked out your profile. We connected 2 years ago. I don't think we said boo to each other. I noticed you do this. It's really interesting. I do this. We should probably have a conversation. Do you think it'd be worth having a conversation? Who knows what? Maybe nothing comes of it. Maybe you develop it. What would happen if you developed a business associate friend and you never got it? Wouldn't that be cool? Like, all I'm saying is, we understand what our end result is. We want to win customers, we want to get donors, that's why we're here. But if you're not truly engaging, that's what everybody looks like. And by the way, that's what you look like to them. So how are they going to pick you out from that crowd and go, yeah, I want to give this person money? Then it's just like a dartboard, right? But what if you stood out like crystal clear because you reached out to them and gave them some value? So just shift what you're thinking about with social, right? It's not numbers. I mean, numbers are great. I tell people all the time, and I talk in career talk, I say, if you should think in terms of trading pay for opportunity. Not that, but I said, hey, if you can get the pay and the opportunity, get it. I'm cool with that. But understand, you may trade pay for opportunity. Well, the same way is true, right? You may have to connect to people and actually create a connection to find that one donor who's like, yeah, you're the cause I believe in. Here's a check for $50,000. Right? Oh my gosh, why didn't I reach out to you before? Well, I don't know, you didn't. Who knows unless you reach out to people, or, hey, I know somebody. And that's how it usually works, and that's the important thing of networking. There's a really bad phrase that's stated by networking professionals about networking, and it's this, and I disagree with it fully. It's not what you know, it's
Who you know.
right. Now, I think that's a negative take, because it implies that what you know doesn't matter, right? And so I changed it. So in my book, I put, it's who knows you and knows what you know. You must know stuff, and you must know people who know you and what you know. And that means you're sharing value and knowledge, because it's never the direct connection, really. Rarely is it the direct connection who turns out to be business or your best connection. It's when they're out to lunch away from you. You're not there, and they're meeting with somebody about something else, and the person says, yeah, we're really looking to do this, or we want to support this, or we're looking to grow this initiative, and they say, you pop into their head. And they say, you should talk to this person. Does that make sense of the power of that, right? And so don't think it's not what you know, it's who you know, because that's kind of cynical. It's who knows you and knows what you know. That means you're sharing value and sharing knowledge. You're actually really connecting with real life people. Yeah?
I found in what I do, it's obviously, it's always the greatest thing is if somebody else says something great about you than you having to actually speak up yourself. Don't get me wrong, I know sometimes you do and sometimes I have to too, but if somebody just willingly goes out and starts saying, oh, this guy's great, it really seems to work great.
Well, one of the things we're doing with the restaurant and with all of our clients, we're sold on the idea of user-generated content. If we can get our user base to generate content, it's way more powerful than you saying something. So absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So my first book was mentioned, I was interviewed for an article, they misquoted me. They misquoted the name of my book, and it was an Associated Press article, and it went out to everything, like New York Times, LA Times, it was everywhere. And even with the misquote and the misquoted book title, my book shot up to the top career book on Amazon for a week. I said, what if they'd gotten it right? So yes, somebody else saying something about you can be very good, of course, not negative and everything, but anyways, you understand what we're getting at there. Okay, so put things in context so that you're not that, and they're not that to you. So I talked a little bit about the tools. This is just my rendition of Google Drive, collaboration. If you're working as a team, my team collaborates in a number of tools to brainstorm online, right? We don't typically do it via email, but this just shows kind of our cloud-based concept. So I mentioned Google Drive for aggregating content. I do believe that it's a powerful platform. There are others, but it's free, it's available. And Google Drive allows you to share files, organize folders into structured areas. And like I said, what we do is we go to a client, we set up a Google Drive for them. We set up a place for content. So for a restaurant case, well, Pizza Man Dan's, for instance. They have five restaurants, I think, in the area, and they wanted to upload images from each restaurant from the managers and people at those restaurants. So we created folders for each location, and we gave them shared access to those folders. And then the person, right on their phone, we just trained them. They can take a picture, do a video, and from their phone they go upload Google Drive to their shared location, and it just shows up. And then from the social media, their web people can take it, they can repurpose that content, do what they need to with it, right? So it's a great utility for teams to be able to share content, as well as coordinate and plan, because you have shared spreadsheets and everything on there. Yeah?
Does Dropbox work pretty much the same way?
It doesn't even compare.
Oh.
This is so much better. Listen, there's a time and place maybe for Dropbox. No, what this does is it allows you to have, for instance, you can create a document, like a Word document, that you're typing in something. What are you typing in?
In Word.
In Word, you're in Word. Okay, so you could be in a Google document right now. I could be halfway around the world. In that document, you would see my cursor typing and watching you type. And we could have 10 people in that document, watching information go into that at the same time, right?
And then you can access it from anywhere.
You
Like
can
right now,
access
you're
it, yeah.
typing in a Word document. If you're not
I
on your
actually get to my
computer.
Google documents from this. I go boop, I pop in, I leave a note, boop, it's there. And actually I can get into a document from my phone. I'll be typing in my phone, in a document that somebody on my team is on, and I'll see them and they'll see, oh, hey, you're right there. Cool, we're all in the same document. I'm on my phone, they're on their computer in some other city, and we're working on the same exact document. And by the way, Google's had this for years. It's extremely powerful. It doesn't have all the features of Word, don't get me wrong. I love Word, we write automation routines in Word, that's part of what my company does. But when it comes to collaborative workspaces, we really use two tools that are extremely important. Google Drive, and we use a tool called Glib, which is a discussion tool for online collaboration. But it's really important for social because we can brainstorm on there. We can upload an image and say, hey, how should we repurpose this? Can we put a caption on this image? If you can create a funny caption for something, great. Somebody says, oh, your graphic designer, boom, puts it there in a collaborative workspace. You're not emailing something around and then trying to get that content back. It's all in the collaborative space. So from a social standpoint, collaboration is key. Brainstorming is key. Hey, if you guys have something good you wrote, a question that was asked to you, post it up there because, boom, oh, we have this question answered. Great, let's have 5 people give a response to that answer, just 1 or 2 sentences. And then you post that as a blog entry. We get asked this. Here's some responses from our team. Jane says this. So-and-so says this. I don't know, that's interesting. We're here to help you. We're here to answer your questions. Collaboration is critical for social if you're going to create a voice for your organization, right? So that's a tool we use. By the way, don't get caught up in the tool. You might find a different tool. I'm just telling you some of the things we do. Yeah?
I can just attest to this. We use OneDrive just because my company uses Microsoft Outlook. But we have offices in 5 different counties, and we've appointed one person per office to collect photos from all of their employees who are out in the field working, and then they put it into this OneDrive, and then I can see it and edit it and then post it to social media. And since we've been doing that, we've had contact for 2 to 3 posts a day, whereas we used to I don't know why we even thought this way. I thought that one of us at corporate has to drive out and take pictures, and it's just just so.
Everybody's running around with this tool, right? Use it. Yeah, and we don't do it enough. We just did a thing where we went to, one of our clients was hosting a luncheon for the chamber. And so I was going out of town, Judy and another one of my team ran out there, and we took videos on behalf of the restaurant. So the restaurant was out there saying, hey, we're going to post videos on our site of the people in the business community because we support the local business community. Now, okay, they did that. They were posting these videos. What do you think that does to the standing of the restaurant? Well, they love to build a lunch crowd, and lunch crowd is almost always business, right? Oh my gosh, they promoted my business on their stuff. I love those guys, right? So, just simple things, simple, so just there's a lot of tools available to you.
Question, I hear you mention a lot about videos, and what I do in events and elsewhere, videos are pretty handy, but my understanding is if you get somebody's image or face or voice in anything and without express written permission, you can end up in legal trouble. I know it's civil, but I think in California it's even criminal offense. if I'm not
You know what? Check that. If you're not purposing the video for true advertisement or for, I can video my life all I want, right?
Yeah,
I can video my life all I want.
yeah.
And now, granted, if I'm using it as an advertisement, and there's a fine line there, there are some things you need to take care of, right?
Yeah.
That you've got to check with.
Even if somebody's in the background, bystander or something, if
Right.
you're advertising, you can get in trouble.
Right. And so just, yes, if it's paid content, for instance.
Yeah.
Right? There's things you have to do, yeah, for sure.
But there's this wonderful new thing called Photoshop, and you can blur them out.
Right.
Yeah, no, there are things you can do. You can definitely blur them out. And the other thing is, we have clients where we've created photo releases, things for them to do. And on the end, we really want our clients, customers, generating content.
And if it's self-generated, then it's always cleared.
That's right. It's always good, yeah. Yeah, she works with cleared content, she works with movie, TV, that's what she does. And believe me, the conversation, and okay, understand, and you can't all do this, I operate under the, I'd rather beg forgiveness than ask permission, and I will always operate that way, right? I understand you all can't all do that, but individuals can, organizations can, so you have to be more careful. But I understand, that's how I operate. I want to make sure a couple things. Did you get some information you think might help you?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions I didn't cover, because I know we're running on time, right? And Susan's standing up there with a hook ready to pull me off.
So, you guys may be far more advanced than I am about this, but isn't there like a place I can go to post and then it sends it to all my networks?
Okay, awesome question. Automation. I'm not a big fan. However, there may be a time and a place, right? And the reason is, a lot of people do timed content at different times. So I was going to post some information, what day is it? It's Friday.
Today's Thursday.
Wednesday.
Thursday.
It's Thursday.
It's someday, it is a day. I'm pretty sure it is a day. So on some other day, which was a specific day, it's a conversation we always have about, just a random day. I go, there is no random day. Every day is a specific day. So there was last week, or earlier this week, there was a plane crash.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, think about if you had all this content generated, automated, that was putting out something like, hey, come to our fun event! When the news and everybody else on social is talking about this awful tragedy. And know what it makes you look like?
Jerk.
Like you don't care. Because you'd be way better off holding back on that content and saying, hey, just, our condolences to the families and people involved in that crash, comfort to them. And then you're silent for a while. Then you can go back to posting your stuff, like nothing wrong, but if everything's automated. Now, I understand, Hootsuite, Buffer are all applications that can post content to multiple sites, and that's okay. Just be very careful of using too much automation. I hate automation when I connect on Twitter and somebody says, and I get an auto response back that is completely impersonal because I'm taking the time to send you a personal message. Please look at me or don't say anything. I don't want to get the auto response that says, hey, thanks for connecting, check out our site and buy our new product. It's like, that's kind of clumsy. So all I'm saying is, automation has a time and place. So Hootsuite, you can look at. TweetDeck is another one for Twitter. Buffer is an application that lets you have multiple places you can post and connect with and listen to and pay attention to. You can hear if you get notifications that people are talking. So there's all kinds of apps. The thing is, the way you find these applications, Twitter's a great one because if you look at feeds and watch social media, you'll see different things people are posting. You can learn a lot very quickly. Don't get overwhelmed. You don't need every tool. one tool used well is way better than 10 tools not used at all, right? And then the other thing is you don't have to be on, just remember what I said, you don't have to learn everything tomorrow. Learn the things you need that make you proficient and then slowly build from there. Because you'll get overwhelmed if you try and take on 10 different tools tomorrow.
Question, that just flew my mind.
Yeah, oh, I love those questions, they're easy to answer. Yeah,
So when you say earn the right to sell and you're thinking about donors, is it the same thing, earn the right to ask?
yeah, sure. If you're giving them value and good content, engaging them with the story, you know, it's kind of like the, you know, I'm a huge, like, This American Life, one of my favorite. You know, I'm an NPR junkie, so I'm listening to all their stuff, and I listen to their podcast. And I'll kind of get annoyed at the, hey, we're doing our pledge drive, but I understand why they need to do it, and I've supported them at different times, and so I'm cool with that. But mostly because I've engaged with their great content for so long. And so they've kind of earned the right to guilt me into throwing money their way, right? Because I do, you listen to their content, that, you know, you kind of, that's how you kind of have to work it. You do. And have a story, have a narrative, the why, you're working with kids, you know, I always tell the story of, you know, there's something to be said about a nice video about, you know, Johnny who wasn't being fed adequately and now is, and you get a real victory and you see that story, like there's something to be said about that, right? So the story, the narrative are into the right as well, right?
I remember now. So you're not off the hook on answering.
All right.
Basically, if you have some things to post, like you were at an event and you say accidentally didn't quite get to it right away, is it still okay if it's a pretty good thing to post it if you do it a little bit later?
Sure.
Because I know most people do it like boom, right away.
No, oh, absolutely. I mean, I repurpose content going back almost 2 years. If it's still relevant, I'm posting. I go, by the way, I go, a blast from the past, blog entry on this, it's still relevant.
Yeah, because if I go to a really cool event and maybe I've done something there, it's nice to be able to, oh, I was there and I just did this, and people like to see what you've done.
Say, hey, forgot to post this.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
So, why not? Sure. I mean, current is current and time sensitive if it's current and time sensitive. But if it's valuable information regardless of the time, you might as well utilize it. Right? Thank you so much. I hope that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.